You're listening to the We Are Libertarians Podcast Network. Find all of our shows at wearelibertarians.com. You're listening to the We Are Libertarians Network. Learn more at wearelibertarians.com.
Welcome to the Boss Hog of Liberty podcast. This is episode number 416 of East Central's favorite podcast. Jeremiah Morrell here, joined by executive video producer, audio engineer, man with diesel on his hands, Mr. Zach Burcham.
I washed my hands, but thank you.
Co-host chairs tonight, we got Mr. Bones.
Hi.
And your best friend,
Forrest
Plank, is
only the
joined us.
bestest.
They're on speaking terms tonight. It's going to be great. And our guest today is congressional candidate from the 5th District, Jackson Franklin. Welcome to the show, man.
Thank you so much for having me.
Glad you're here. Mr. Bones, what do we have planned today? What are we going over?
We're going to meet we're going to meet Jackson. Well, we already have beat Jackson. This has not gone well.
It's a rough night.
He's all huffed.
Gosh, I've missed you so much, Bones.
He gets so nervous around you.
Well, I mean, I'm just sad because Forrest lost his house in Jamaica.
My God. So we're going to talk with Jackson about his race for Congress, the government being shut down, maybe the redistricting of the 5th District into where we are, potentially. Looking over the platform of his website, he's got an answer to everything. So we got a lot of questions.
Good.
What else, Bones?
We're going to talk about the SNAP benefits, how everything's connected with Indiana voters. Colts are in the news, big news there, and that's about it.
That's our plan.
That's our plan.
We reserve the right to deviate.
We probably will.
All right. This show's about our lives in rural Indiana. We're here to push your boundaries and make you think as individuals. Sometimes we'll provoke you. Other times we'll make you laugh, but hopefully you always learn something new. If you had to give an elevator pitch to what we did on Patreon today, Forrest, what would it be?
Chocolate and peanut butter.
Chocolate and peanut butter. And sometimes they do get along.
Sometimes they do.
But nobody likes ski.
No. But chocolate, peanut butter, and throw an Oreo in the mix, and we'll talk.
You're in.
Yep.
Patreon is what supports this show. Boss Hog of Liberty's Patreon is available. Patreon.com/Boss Hog of Liberty. Amazing. Or you go to our website, click on the button. Join at any level. If you join at $50 or more a month, though, Mr. Bones, what happens?
I want to take a thank you. And I want to say your name out loud on the show.
At the beginning.
At the beginning of the show.
All right. Who are those people at this time?
Jonathan Phillips over at Great Lakes Honda in Fishers.
Ooh, in the 5th District.
Right now. Yes.
For now.
Jonathan, reach out.
Varsity Outfitters, we got Blake Reese making everybody look good.
That's right.
Tommy Oaks over there at Walnut Ridge RV, giving everybody a mobile home.
Get you hooked up with your RV.
Morrell Monument Cleaning, get your dead people's headstone cleaned.
That's exactly how they wrote it in the copy, yes.
And then Pops Recycle, get that Schwinn new again.
That's it. Refurbish your Chicago Schwinn. Thank you to all of them. With all the business out of the way, let's get to know Jackson a little bit. We've had him here for half an hour, eating Oreos, hanging out, and
picking on him,
dealing with our attitudes. Let's really get into it. Jackson, tell us about yourself. I thought you were 28, and it turns out you're just constitutionally eligible to be sitting here.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm 25 years old. I'm a combat medic in the Indiana Army National Guard, and I'm a paramedic that worked on the ambulance, but working into a medical instructor position for the Indiana Army National Guard over at Camp Atterbury. And yeah, I'm running for Congress in the 5th District, challenging the Republican incumbent Victoria Sparks, who's been sitting there since 2020. And how's it going?
I took his picture just so he'd have it as B-roll, but it's distracting.
Right. So, and yeah, I'm basically stepped up to the plate because I noticed nobody was doing it right. We got our butts kicked last election, obviously. And I think by large in part, it's because we had terrible representation on the Democratic side of the ticket. And, we need candidates that actually represent the working class and not just sanitizing their policies all for the behest of corporate donors. So, this campaign, people, my Army buddies, my family, all my other friends, I've been involved in politics for the last 10 years, helping on campaigns and basically just bitching all the time. So people kind of like, hey, you've been waiting for a good candidate to come around in the 5th district. Why don't you do that? And initially I was like, yeah, right. But after seeing last year, almost a year exactly ago, we saw the election results. I was like, okay, I got to step up to the plate, build a coalition of working class people to actually fight for the change that we all want. Most Americans actually, all these policies are overwhelmingly popular. It's just a matter of getting that message out there and fighting for what's right. So that's why I'm running for Congress.
So as I spent some time looking at your website before we invited you on and looked at the platform, and I'll tell you what, Jackson, if you look at your platform versus most other congressional candidates, there's more than just a donate button on your website, right?
Oh, yeah.
You've actually thought through, hey, this is what I believe, and potentially there's people that are going, well, I don't like that thing, so I can't be with them.
There's stuff for everybody.
But you've actually gone through and kind of given people guide points of, here's how I believe, here's how I got there.
Yeah, that's how politicians should have their websites and how they should speak. It's my personal pet peeve where I hear a politician talk for 10 minutes and they don't mention a single policy, but they talk about their freaking dog or something, or, what they did last week, at the house. And I'm like, I don't care. I want to know, like, once you become a politician, I don't really care about your personality all that much. What are you going to do to represent me once in office? How are you going to help my life, my problems? So that's kind of what we wear the policy on on our sleeves with pride. I used to be a policy advisor for previous congressional campaigns, and that's what drives this campaign is the policy and the people, that I'm listening to on the ground. So yeah, proud to represent all these things. Basically, younger, angrier Bernie Sanders of Indiana, grassroots, no corporate donors. We don't want super PACs, no APAC money, just listening to working class people and, getting the message of the people.
So you referenced Bernie's name, and looking at the fact that you're in rural Indiana, that's the part that I think that a lot of folks are going to push back on and say, hang on, wait a minute. I don't know that connects to me in Newcastle or Muncie or Anderson, where, man, that's socialism, right? They're going to say, oh, that's socialism. That's what, that's the guy that just got elected in New York City. That's not what we believe in Indiana. But you're trying to say that some of those policy points, if you actually listen to them, maybe they do connect with you a little more than you realize.
Oh, by and large, yes. And, not polls, whatever you want to take them for, but like on the ground, like me talking to people everywhere, Randolph County, which is, in your guys' district, the 6th district.
For now.
For now. And, just did a recent town hall there and just listening to everyday folks. It wasn't just Democrats there. And by and large, overwhelmingly, like people want Medicare for all. You look at the polls nationally, Indiana, take it for what it's worth, 70% of Americans, and even most Republican voters, they're like, oh, I like Medicare. I know Medicare. They're not as like tuned in as we are, so like, they're like, oh, my mom, my grandma, grandfather, or I'm on Medicare. Yeah, I want it. It doesn't take care of everything. Like there's no dental, vision, and hearing. Well, we need to expand that. And they're like, all right, well, what if we expanded that Medicare for all people? You're like, I love that. Yeah, let's do that. Of course, everyone has a bad healthcare story. As a paramedic on the ambulance, I have more than I can count. Even like on my own family side, I have like tragic stuff. Including the health insurance industry. So more than 70,000 Americans die every year due to lack of health insurance. That's not. You go to Canada, you go to Denmark, England, Sweden, Finland, Norway, all these we're the only major developed country in the world that does not guarantee healthcare to every single one of its citizens as a human right. But no, we give it as it's a privilege, and then it's an expense made at the expense of us working class people getting funneled up to these large healthcare CEOs. There's a for-profit middleman between us and our doctors, and it's hurting employers. It's hurting us. If so many people are tied down to terrible jobs because it gives good health care. My dad was one of them.
They work somewhere because their insurance comes with it.
Yeah. How many times have people gone to a service and you're like, well, that's out of network. You can't go to that doctor. We're like, oh, I really like that doctor. I hear good stuff. No, not with Blue Cross, Blue Shield, or whatever Anthem, however it is, and like, I just have so much, experience with the health insurance industry. And like, as a paramedic, my brother's a firefighter, mom's a nurse, like all this stuff is like building up. I'm like, for me, like it's listening to working class people, buying it, like overwhelmingly, like 70% is no small number, And, I've taken people from the hospital, like on a transfer ambulance over in Muncie, taking people from the hospital, veterans, back to their homes to die because they didn't want their families to pay their medical debt. They would rather die than have put that medical debt onto their families. These are people I've looked up to my whole life. I'm in the Army. I'm a combat medic. So I look at these veterans, they're my heroes. So I literally took them out of their rooms because they requested to I would rather be taken back home to die than put my family through thousands. The VA didn't cover their ventilator piece, right, on CPAP machines, and they would I'm gonna risk it. And against all the doctor's best wishes, they were like, hey, man, it's not about what I know is right for me. It's about what I think is right for my family.
So 70%, that's a pretty overwhelming number. If we have 70% that are for it, why do we have so much money being funneled through private healthcare today?
Right. We pay in America, we pay more than any other country for health insurance. So, the thing is, some people may say, how can we pay for Medicare for all? It's cheaper. So, you tell me, how can we afford not to do it? That if you guys are familiar with the show Breaking Bad, where the guy had to sell drugs for his cancer treatment.
Well, that's a choice he made. He could have just died.
The show Breaking Bad would not happen in Canada, right? You go over just across the border, Mr. White, you have cancer. He's like, oh, I guess I got to sell meth. No, you just get the treatment, man. Whoa, calm down, slow up.
Now there are people that would say, hey, he's going to get in line and wait for the treatment. Right. So that's the challenge or the pushback that you get from Americans is that, hey, I've got Blue Cross Blue Shield, so I can get in and I can see somebody quickly. Where in Canada, you're dealing with the government version of it, which maybe isn't as swift.
Well, there's different problems. So we say Canada. There's also every country has their own different metric. Canada has a physician's problem where they can't get enough physicians. It's not a problem. It's actually less paperwork, and America spends an ungodly amount on just the bureaucracy of healthcare, of who's paying what, premiums, copays, deductibles, all these things. So there's so much in the way. What do you think is going to be faster? Oh, hold on, let me see this person's insurance, or just you're a person, you're an American citizen or whatever, right? Come in here, we'll handle the government's going to take care of it, right? So, and it's cheaper because obviously when you get rid of that for-profit motive, you hear the words healthcare is a human right, as what most people believe. When you view it as a human right, and no one's gonna make a profit off of you breaking an arm, or your grandma getting a heart attack or a stroke, right? Or have chronic back pain because they got blew up in Iraq. That's the kind of stuff we're dealing with. People are making profits off of our pain. So, that's going to cut the time down. If you remove that middleman out of the way, you don't got to worry about that. It's such a removing stress, people always talk about hey, how much stress do you have? It shortens down our life expectancies. You look at counties in West Virginia and compare them just an hour down the road in Virginia, some of the wealthiest counties in the whole country, and the life expectancies are drastically different because they have to worry about things like healthcare.
So right now, the federal government is shut down, and this week we crossed over the record of this is the longest we've ever been shut down.
Yeah.
And it's over healthcare. Essentially, the Democrats have said, hey, we're not voting for continuing resolution because there was a poison pill in Obamacare that basically made it very expensive, and the government's having to subsidize it. Those subsidies came in around 2021, and now they've run out. So if you're serving in Congress today, where would you be in this conversation, and what could you be doing to try to get the government reopened?
So we just got to talk to the people, go to the, of course, I would obviously stand with, giving people health care. They're trying to remove 15 million people from their health care. All the Democrats are saying, because by law, the filibuster, they have to get 60 votes in the Senate. So I'm running for the House. It's stuck up in the Senate with the filibuster.
The House hasn't met in 6 weeks.
Yeah, no.
They've worked 4 weeks out of the last 15, I think.
Everybody else was still getting paid the last time they met.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, as a member of the House, like I wouldn't necessarily be what's the like stuck up right now, but I would be an advocate for the change needed to help the people. And I side with the Democrats in this moment. Being a Democrat myself, because they passed the CR, the big beautiful bill. All the Democrats are like, you have everything that's already there. All we're saying is to extend the ACA tax credits. Like, give people healthcare. Don't cut off 15 million. Like, just don't take away healthcare from 15 million people. That's all we want. And like in the history of all these budgets, the majority party, they've always like negotiated some like they're not asking for the moon here. Like they started off small, and like there's actually critique from the more progressive side of the camp that like Democrats, you were caving by have such a small barrier when this first started, because we first thought like, okay, well, like maybe they were not going to shut the government over just healthcare, like just one thing, healthcare. Give the billionaires tax credits, all the tax credits. This is what by and large the Democratic Party was like. Do all you want, tax have the largest redistribution of wealth in American history from us working people to the billionaire class. All we want is you not to cut healthcare. Like, we're not expanding the healthcare, just don't cut the healthcare. That's all they were asking for. So yeah, there was progressive flack to the Democrats. Like, we're not going to ask for more. Like, what are we like? Do we have spines in this party? So that's kind of
inside of every political party. I spent some time in the Republican Party. I'm still a member of the Libertarian Party, and you're a Democrat. You always have this purity test inside of your party. If you're not Democrat enough, you're not Libertarian enough, you're not Republican enough, you're too centrist. At some point, you have to decide you're going to make government work, and you have to compromise.
Right.
Hopefully, at some point, we get there.
Yeah.
As you're running for this office, when did you declare? When did you jump into the race?
I filed paperwork in April of 2025.
So in April, you said, I'm going to run in the 5th district. And you, sure you and your campaign team said, okay, these are the counties we have. These are the precincts we have. And then this summer, the rules started to change. How do you decide how you do a strategy for this campaign when you don't know what the maps look like? Is it the governor just called a special session, and in December they will meet and potentially reorient the maps as to where you're even trying to campaign?
Right. So yeah, we've been going around like I say the expression, we've been bouncing around like a ping pong ball, because like we do our own little fighting oligarchy tour, mostly staying in the 5th district, obviously, for blunt reasons. But I go down to Indy, I've been down to Bloomington, gone up to Fort Wayne. Like, I've been bouncing all around Henry County. I've been here a few times.
You're trying to make connections, raise money from small donors, etc.
And like like for me, it's more about like the larger cause. Like, either I'm like getting support for me, or like down ballot races, or just like good organizations like the local soup kitchen. Like, if I can help raise awareness for these things and like use my platform for that. So I've been already bouncing around a lot. So yeah, it is kind of ridiculous that like we all, there's many people already in the running all across the state and all across the country where they are deciding to redistrict. And people are like, they're making connections in these towns, or they're from these towns, and then they just draw it out mid-decade. So yeah, as probably most of you guys are aware, it doesn't happen like this. It's not supposed to be mid-decade. The census is every 10 years. So this is a very unusual act undergoing right now. But how this campaign is reacting to that is, we joined a town hall in Randolph County, which is not part of the 5th district currently. So, hearing the people, getting awareness up, boosting local candidates and all that. So yeah, we're just going to where the people are, going all around, our general region of the state, which is like vaguely east of Indianapolis. So yeah, we're just spreading the good word and fighting the good fight.
So how does the redistricting either benefit you or hurt you?
It depends on how they draw it. That's the $1 million question.
So
right?
If it sets today, neutral, positive, negative?
Depends on the map. Because right now the current map, like there's projections about like, oh, well, if they change the 5th district to make it to where it's Hamilton County, just north of Indianapolis, and then they draw in like Henry County, Randolph County, but then keep like parts of Delaware County, which is Muncie, and then Madison County, which is Anderson, and like basically make it to where like cut Muncie in half, leave out like Tipton, Kokomo, like Marion, which is Grant County.
You pick up probably Lawrence and northeastern
so
Indianapolis.
They're trying to make a way where they can pinwheel Indianapolis the best they can to make it like where you divide up all these Democratic voters.
So they're looking to dilute Marion County, essentially.
Basically.
But I think in the last presidential election, Hamilton County was blue until right at the very end. Right at the very end.
It was projected to go blue, but then they were just shy. Like Hamilton County is like the most purple county of the district. Like it was actually supposed to. I say supposed
projected to be
projected to go blue, but I think it's a mix of it was a Trump year, and then also look at the congressional candidate that we put up. So I think there's a lot of different factors on that. Like people, like working class people, just didn't feel like they were getting heard by Democrats last time around. Maybe actually, this is a very important note for like going forward. Indiana ranks 50th out of voter turnout. The last time it was like good voter turnout or even a semblance of like better was 2008, where Obama won the entire state.
So the number one issue on your platform was fighting corruption and expanding democracy, which is that voter turnout number, right? And you talk about ending partisan gerrymandering, abolishing burdensome voter ID laws. The president said today that everybody has to show their ID at the gas station and the grocery store.
If you want to write a check.
I commented then, I'll comment again. He has never set foot in a grocery store or filled a car up with gas. I bet he's never touched a gas pump.
I bet he's never written a check either.
No, he has people do that.
Sign them.
Like you do.
Wow. Wow.
Even from behind
Bones Jr. Holy cow. Everybody meet Bones Burcham. He's over there behind the camera.
There's going to be a very strong letter from Kelly Plank to all of us for abusing Forrest.
Oh, don't get Kelly down.
No, she will encourage it.
We interrupted you with our shenanigans.
No, I'm
Sorry.
I'm all here for it.
So, anti-corruption. You talk about throwing a bone to people with ranked choice voting, which is really an interesting conversation.
Yeah. Talk to us about that.
Right. So, on top of, banning corporate lobbyists, banning super PACs, and having public funding of elections to make elections more of like a popularity contest. I frequently say that like we have the best democracy that money can buy. And, it's largely true because all of our politicians, there's jokes. I think Johnson, the 2016 Libertarian candidate, he was like, I wish they just wore sponsors like NASCAR, like you'd see all these different but yeah, ranked choice voting. Alaska has it. The socialist utopia of Alaska has ranked choice voting. You noticed it. I mean,
so does Maine.
So does Maine. Yeah. And like,
it's slowly working its way towards the Midwest.
Yeah.
Give it a decade or 7.
It's like
So it's basically to where like you're stuck between, as we all know, you guys are libertarians. I'm preaching to the choir here.
Some are. You have all different political backgrounds that are around this table.
or none at all.
Or
right. So basically,
or this pile.
It's
over
as
here.
South Park says, we're stuck between a turd and a shit sandwich. Is that right? So basically, and a lot of people feel like they are left out of the political process. So having ranked choice voting would make it to where we had healthy third-party options. There would be a strong and vibrant libertarian party, a Labor Party, a Green Party, whatever have you, a Democratic Socialist Party, whatever, right? Fill in the blank. If we, looked a lot more like the UK or like Germany or France, like all these other democracies, that have like 6 parties, and you have to like not a parliamentary system, but you kind of make a coalition. Like the majority party would probably just have like a third of Congress.
Shouldn't have all 9 congressional seats in Indiana.
So
Senate seats in every statewide office.
ranked choice voting doesn't say there's just a third party choice. It says there is more than the top 2 that everyone is aware of.
Ranked choice voting. So right now it's first past the post voting system. That's what it's called. So you get 1 vote, and if there's a Republican, Libertarian, Democrat, and I would probably vote Democrat number 1, and if just between those 3 options, because that's honestly like a lot. In Indiana, there's not going to be any other parties.
It's very difficult to get on the ballot, so you get 3 automatic: Democrat, Republican, Libertarian. Past that, you got to go get 2% of the voters in the district to sign to get on. It's almost impossible unless it's a very small town race.
Right. So like with those 3 options, and I'm just speaking for me because everyone already knows what I'm going to rank. You instead of just voting for one. So, you might be a libertarian wanting to vote Democrat or Republican, and you're really scared of one of them. But you're like, crap, I'm a libertarian. If I feel like if I vote here, and this is like a swing district, you might be a spoiler vote. Is like they're going to call.
You're going to throw your vote away, Jackson.
You're going to throw your vote away. Yeah, no. So this would make it to where you could rank, and more people would be encouraged to vote for the third. But they wouldn't even be a third party. It'd just be all the parties would be equally competing for your your vote. To rank them higher. So you would vote. You could vote Libertarian on top, Democrat or Republican on second, and then you could even just like not write in your least favorite candidate. And so like it would make sure that hey, whoever gets first round, all right, it looks like no one got a clear majority.
Bottom person drops off.
Yeah, bottom. Whoever got the least amount of number one picks, they drop off, and then everyone's votes goes to like the second and third candidate. So then that would probably edge it out to whoever, and then they get past that 50% marker, then they are declared the winner. So that's kind of how that works. So and there could be 4 candidates, and you could rank Democrat, Green Party, Libertarian, and then not vote for the Republican, or something like however, or vice versa, however you want to do it. So it'd make it to where you could vote your conscience and not be like guilted or ashamed, like, oh, well, Indiana's going to go red no matter what. I better just stay out of this election, which is how a lot of people feel.
35% of eligible voters in Indiana did not vote in the last election.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
But what percentage of the voters who did vote in the last election voted straight ticket?
It's in the 40% range. And that's something we've talked about for ages, is trying to eliminate straight ticket voting in the state. And I think you're probably going to see it show up next year as a bill.
So how many states in the U.S. are left with straight ticket?
10. It's about eight states that have let you go in and pick up.
We heard a rumor that's being offered and as proposed as a bill for
the General Assembly regular session, not the special extra.
Yeah, not
the special.
Not the one that meets in the month of November and December.
I personally,
I guess it's December now, right?
I look forward to having 3 options and not voting for one of the 3, because I really love there's some people that run unopposed, and I don't vote for them if I don't like them. I'm like, no, you don't get my vote, even if there's nobody else to vote for.
I mean, it's just our software, the way it's written.
Oh,
do you want to vote Republican or Democrat? Next.
I'm not sure how your
error. You did not make a selection.
I'm not sure how your voting machines work where you vote, Jackson, but in our voting machines, throw you an error if you don't vote straight ticket.
If you undervote it.
You forgot. It's huge. It's a blinking like, whoa, are you sure you don't want to vote? And yes. And like it will throw like a blinking red light error at you if you don't vote straight ticket.
In 2018, the first year that we had those machines in this county, it more than tripled the number of straight ticket votes. The idiot sitting here behind this microphone was running as a third-party candidate that year and absolutely got smoked by just that software change.
I was running as a nonpartisan candidate that year.
Yeah. Another issue on your platform that I think is going to strike home with a lot of the Liberty crowd. You say you want to end the war on drugs and legalize cannabis.
Definitely. Yes.
Oh, Bones found he's really against that war on drugs.
Is that cut down on the package deliveries?
Probably not.
Oh, I bet it increases.
What's your logic in that?
Right. So as well as just a freedom thing, it's also like, the reason why it's not legal right now is because of the large big pharma industry. They lobby our politicians. They see these cannabis industries as competition, as well as like big alcohol, I might add. So yeah, it's like the freedom aspect, and also all the tax money we would collect. 80 according to Ball State. I got to shout out Muncie here, chirp chirp or whatever. But 87% of Hoosiers want to legalize cannabis in one form or another. We're surrounded by states that have it legalized. Even Kentucky has it.
We're going to be so late to that party that everyone's going to be over it.
How much money have these states raised that we're missing out on? I know so many people, veterans even that have to as I mentioned, got blown up. They got arthritis. Old people that got arthritis. All these, or just recreationally, they go out of state. They drive hours to get legal cannabis products, and then they drive back here. So those are taxes. That is money getting ripped right out of our pockets. People make jokes like, "Oh, let's do Operation Pothole." Our infrastructure is one of the worst in the country in this state.
No. We were voted best roads in this country.
We're the crossroads of America's guys. But no, and also like I was just at a daycare yesterday, and like they're worried about the child care vouchers cutting off, and there's a $225 million deficit that the state is not finding ways to pay for. Which $225 million, that sounds like a lot of money for a whole state government. They could find the money for that. So if we legalize cannabis, like legalize, tax, and regulate, as we always say. And then we just had the same tax rate that of Illinois, 10%, which is really not a whole lot for cannabis.
You have a sales tax of 7% on normal products. You'd go you're 10%.
Right. We would have $265 million generated annually. So we would be able to pay for child care vouchers, for our kids to go to daycare, and we could expand it. Or, you pick your topic, go into education, infrastructure, all these different programs, for us, and that's what we're missing out on.
Now, listen, I'm looking at your website, and you say you want to end private and for-profit prisons. Henry County has a very, very important employer in GEO.
I think it's the third largest. I think it's the third largest employer in the county.
What about all those people, Jackson?
So,
they're going to be out of work.
Actually, no, they won't. It's simply no one should be making a buck. Because then you have an incentive to like lobby to make more things illegal, like cannabis. This goes right. That's very well connected into the next point.
I don't think we have any drug dealers in our prison up there.
So, black people and white people smoke cannabis at the very same rate, studies show. But apparently turns out when you have all the cameras and all the law enforcement on, people like marginalized communities, you catch more people. You arrest more, people of color. So Black people are 4 times more likely to get arrested for cannabis use than white people. And that's, and there's a population difference there as well. And it's like, all right, well, they make up 13% of the population. Why are they getting arrested so many times? Well, it's because we put all the police officers in these, and that's part of the Nixon plan. He said, oh, well, we made that illegal, to catch the hippies and the word, right? So, and then he literally just said it on recording, and it got leaked a little, after the fact.
He recorded a lot of stuff.
He did, yeah, and a lot of phone calls with Reagan that got leaked.
He was very big on recording things.
Yeah, but
I was gonna say the war on drugs was literally just another way to attack marginalized groups because it gave them a reason to send police into those areas to target them, because after civil rights movement, they couldn't just make their existence be illegal, which is what they had done before.
It was the next fight.
Yeah.
So if you get rid of the war on drugs, what then becomes the next fight?
They'll find something.
They'll find something.
Well, listen, we have a space force for a reason, guys.
But you mentioned for-profit prisons.
Yes.
I kind of just related it back to the drug war. But yeah, so it's not we're letting all the prisoners free. No, it's we're going to turn it into like a federalized system to where like because they lobby to have more crimes, just more crime, so just so they can make money off
government-owned prisons.
Government, that's all it is.
Even if it's not more crime, it's the sentencing that goes along with the crime.
So a couple other issues that you had on here, universal education, college for all. Mm-hmm. And these are some of your more progressive policies that I think are going to need some explanation for Hoosier voters, right? For kitchen table stuff.
Right.
Because I had to pay my way through college. I went to Indiana Wesleyan, and I went to school at night. I went to Ivy Tech for my first 2 years.
Fellow Wildcat.
Why the hell do I have to pay for everybody else's education, right? And then you also are saying that you want you lefties used to say you wanted a $15 an hour minimum wage, and now I'm looking at your website. You say $25.
Yeah. Inflation.
$25 an hour.
The fight has been going on that long. It used to be 15, and that's how much you could get, and you could put food on the table for your kids, and then you could pay for groceries. And you can have a housing bill, like electricity and all water. The fight has been that long. You remember 10 years ago when Bernie Sanders was running, he was fighting for 15, and oh, that's crazy talk. No, with inflation and everything, and I always say, I'm not just fighting for a living wage where you just barely get by. I'm fighting for a dignified wage. I want people to not only just be scraping more than half this country. I believe it's 73% of this country lives paycheck to paycheck. All this is, and actually, there's also an argument, from the Republicans. They were like, oh, well, what about prices going up? According to a many studies, there was a Berkeley study and then a Institute for Public Policy, Goldman Institute for Public Policy. If you raise the minimum wage by 10%, guess how much like the fast food industry goes up? Like for a price of like a cheeseburger, it goes up by 0.3%. So would you rather pay a little extra some cents more for like your Big Mac, but you know the person behind it can feed their kids? Yeah, because but that's
supposed to be a high school job, right? Those are the jobs that you use to get into the workforce. Theoretically, that's what folks will say, right?
Yep.
When you're 17, you're going to go make $9 an hour at McDonald's.
The reality is
at
that's not the case.
Taste Right or whatever the hell your restaurant is in Rushville.
Just right.
The Just Right. Make $9, $10 an hour in a family restaurant there, and then you're building the skills so that someday you can go work for a place like Crown, right? And make $45,000, $55,000.
You become employable in a real job.
You could have a
real
tiered
job?
minimum wage
Easy.
though. Could you not? You have a tiered minimum wage with like a
This
slightly
bougie
different
guy,
structure for
huh?
people that are under 18.
Jackson.
He's turned against you.
Man.
Wait till we get to who has to pay for it.
So yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
No.
I have yet to unleash the cards of the class war yet.
Horse is going to have to train
I
a
am most
Ferrari.
interested in the workplace democracy conversation.
Yeah. It's super capitalism where everyone is a shareholder. But you were talking about the minimum wage. So yeah, it basically makes it to where like, yeah, people can, it's redistributing the wealth from the top 1%. Sorry, my friend. Not really. Gone to the workers.
Man.
Sorry, not sorry.
The millionaires and billionaires, am I right?
But this also helps employers, and like I'll explain. It seems ironic that it helps employers, but it will help retain the workforce because right now turnover rate for like a lot of jobs, service industry jobs, the turnover rate, like that's why you see so many people bouncing between all these jobs. Yeah, they stay in there for a couple months. This sucks. Let me go somewhere else. This would make it to where they actually work harder. Productivity skyrockets when you know you're working for a living wage. Like I'm doing this for work. I do this and then I go home and I take care. Like you're happier as a person because your basic needs are met. You go to that work.
The quality of service I'm going to get at McDonald's is going to be better because they're making $25 an hour.
The ice cream machine might just work, my friend. Like we are living.
These are the empty promises I expect from my congressman.
But no, seriously though, if $25 per hour is the bottom of the range. If you look at our scale of workers, you have this bell curve. Yeah. You have this distribution where you have those who they contribute little, the normal distribution, those who contribute a lot. If you increase that to $25 an hour, is that $25 an hour bucket still going to be those who contribute little?
So like people are working their butts off for all this product. So like actually, if you looked at the minimum wage, if the average wage back in the 1950s, because it wasn't minimum wage, but like if the wages kept up with productivity since 1950s, which 1950s we had strong labor unions, like the strongest this country has ever seen in the aftermath of World War II. If wages kept up with productivity, the current minimum wage would be like in the 50s. It'd be like 55. It would like 47, anywhere between $47 and $55 an hour. Now, I'm not saying that.
So devil's advocate here, how much of that productivity increase has been through technology and automation, not from the human capital investment?
No, what that metric is like like our hours are longer. People are working overtime a lot more, and like how much output. Like, yeah, we do output more due to the advances of technology, but that study was, and I don't remember the exact one, but like it was by and large the man hours being spent at the workplace, and so yeah, it kind of just goes to show like they used to work like back when we had strong unions in this country, people like were able like that. American dream was more tenable. People could think like, oh, I'm going to get a house. I'm going to get a golden retriever and a white picket fence, and now housing, I could get a house. And nowadays, people are struggling to get by, and we live on poverty wages. You're like what we call a wage slave. You're like basically working at just the threshold to live and nothing more. People are scared. Like, my generation has completely lost hope and ever owning a home.
So what if you propose something in the range of back in the day when a lot of Republicans were talking about getting rid of income taxes, and just going to a sales tax, right? A retail sales tax. They would talk about a prebate, right? Where they say, hey, everybody in the country is going to get a check every month, a direct deposit.
Universal basic income.
A universal basic income, right? Instead of saying, hey, you're going to have a $25 minimum wage, which theoretically could say, hey, my more skilled workers that are going to make $28 an hour now are going to say, the hell with this. I'm just going to go do the basic thing for $25 an hour instead of working hard for 28. The juice isn't worth the squeeze. Why wouldn't you be advocating for something like universal basic income?
I actually am. It's both. It's both. The answer.
You want? Who the hell's paying for this, Jackson?
I'll tell you who's paying it for. It's that guy sitting right across. No,
No.
It is. As most of you guys know, it's the top 1%. When you have Elon Musk, who's the richest man in the planet, who makes more than the bottom 52% of American income earners, he didn't work harder than all the bottom 52%. We don't live in a meritocracy, the American
Not
dream.
just more than the bottom 52%, it's the bottom 52% combined, right?
Oh, yeah, no, yeah. All the 52% combined.
The sum of
all of the work, all the
52%.
hours, all the blood, sweat, and tears into the workforce that they are all we are all doing. Elon Musk has more money than all of us, and the top 1%, they have more money than the bottom 93%.
If you took all of Elon's money today, you couldn't pay down the national debt.
The national debt is so huge. There's nothing every country operates at a debt, right? So, but I'm not saying you got to pay off the debt in 1 year. We take out all of Elon Musk's assets and we pay off the debt. We don't got to do that, right? Everyone's operating on a debt. So, we can do our best to try to handle that, but I'm not saying you got to fix that in a calendar year.
So back to your bullet point under the workplace democracy of democratizing the corporate boards. If you do that, where does the entrepreneurial spirit come from that drives the wealth of the Elon Musks, the Bezos of the United States?
Right. So it's like the workers are contributing to their workforce. All they're saying is hey, the workers have a vote in this shit. If the boss wants to send your job overseas to China or Mexico or Vietnam, and then right now it's oh yeah, they do that. Carrier, left, India. Trump back in his first term kept it here for a year, and then they're there's nothing that's saying that we can't leave, so they left. And then so basically, if the boss made it to where NAFTA hit this state really hard, really my dad was affected by it, and if the boss had these unpopular ideas and put it before the workers, they'd have his head. No, hey, let's take a vote on it real quick. Yeah, you're fired, bud. You're not going to roll that stuff past the UAW, and so it basically the workers would have a larger say in the workforce. That's all it's saying is hey, the workers get a say in the workplace. And that's not saying we're going to cut out all the innovation. If anything, they are incentivized to have more innovation. All the workers would put in more to the factory or wherever job, right? And this is not saying, your mom and pop shop down the street. If you hired 3 18-year-olds and you're outnumbered in a vote and it's all no, it's workplaces that have more than a certain amount of people. I'm just gonna pull a number randomly that's probably somewhere 700 people, 800 people. They're about once you become a big business.
If that made sense for Ford, why wouldn't they just become an ESOP, an employee-owned organization, instead of being obviously they're publicly traded now, they're F on the stock exchange. But why wouldn't companies voluntarily choose to do that, or have a case study of saying, hey, we think this is better for the workers. Let's be an ESOP. I know a lot of my customers that are construction companies are that, and everybody shares in it. They're essentially a co-op.
Mm-hmm. Or the company makes more.
Or on the flip side of that, where
CEO does not.
Where does the willingness to invest in the company stop? If the owner says, all right, at a certain point, I'm going to lose control of this company by 45% because it's going to be the fox is running the hen house. At what point do they say, all right, I've earned enough money.
I'm not growing this.
Ixnay on this. I'm going to go over and start up company B now until I hit that threshold, and then go over and start up company C.
So that's kind of the roadblock where we're at right now. And you mentioned why companies don't do this if the company makes more, is because the CEO makes less. So if these people and the top people in the bureaucracy of these companies, if they know, because right now the CEOs this is average, not like mean or anything. CEOs make 200 times more than the average worker. Now, that's not the lowest paid worker. That's like including like their upper staff. So it's actually kind of disproportionate in favor. Like we're giving them, being generous with this number here. So 200 times. They didn't do that because they worked 200 times harder than the guy who's been working with his hands for 30 years. No, that's why they don't want to do that. They're addicted to greed, and their greed is taking you don't get to be a billionaire without stealing that wealth from your workers, from all of us. So that's basically like, hey, there's going to be and it's still a meritocracy. That CEO is still going to make they're going to be comfortable. Like, they're going to be so comfortable. They're leading a whole big company, but just, you don't need to have that much. Like, there is a line. Like, we all agree that there's a line where if literally half of Walmart's employees are on food stamps. Why is the Walton family, the richest family in the country, I believe, why are they like having yachts and like they could go to space? Like, if you're able to go to space, I'm not saying the Walton family, Bezos and
I'm trying to see what the score of the Broncos game is. Right. They do own the Denver Broncos. Yeah. Now.
If you're able to go to space, your workers should not be on food stamps, and you should be paying them a living wage. So like that's kind of the argument from my side. It was like, hey, like workers are struggling to get by, but you have a yacht within a yacht. You have a $500 million yacht, and underneath that you have a $250 million yacht that detaches.
But so at the same time, though, if you're saying a CEO is making 200x that of the average worker, so the CEO is contributing to the company 200 times that of a singular employee.
Not contributing to more. Oh no!
But it was their investment. It was their thought. It was their brainchild.
They took the risk.
It was their strategy, whatever, to grow this company to it. Why shouldn't they be rewarded?
I'm going to mention one thing, though. Not all CEOs built the company.
Correct.
I mean, but I would think there's a separation between a CEO and a founder. Like, if you founded a company, and like I'm reading on the website, part of it is there's a cap at like $100 million in revenue or like net worth, or if it's publicly traded.
And you'd have a patent, like you own that company
so
for
I could
quite some time before this would kick in.
I think this would be a stretch one to get done, but I do see a point where I think the issue is good companies do this. Like a lot of good companies, you'll find companies where the owner steps aside when he retires and he gives it to the employees, or they treat them. Walmart did that before Sam died. When Sam Walton owned Walmart,
the rest of the family who didn't work their asses off to get it.
At one point, and somebody can fact check me on this, but this is from like whenever Sam was alive, Walmart created more millionaires than any other company in history because he was real big on stock options. Big.
That's what Costco's doing now.
Truckers and stuff like that. But then it turns into kind of a corporate thing. So I do see a point where there's a difference. And especially some CEOs come in and they wreck the company, and then they get out with a big payoff and they leave and they get paid $100 million to go buzz off or whatever. So some of that stuff, the way corporations operate now in many places is problematic because there's a disproportionate kind of where the money's going. It'd be interesting to see how you could control that. And if they have unions, though, if you have unions, I could see either a union or having some control of the board. But if you have both, then you might have a disproportionate control by workers. If they have both a chunk of the board and the union is controlling labor contracts and stuff, that's a lot of control.
So you're talking about giving some power in here that I'm questioning whether or not future presidents, if they were given this sort of power, might be able to use it for nefarious reasons. You say deny federal contracts to companies that pay poverty wages, outsource jobs overseas, or engage in union busting.
Is that question because our current president has
I
earned
feel like
more wealth than any other future?
This might give
other past president.
People like our current president some power to just take contracts away from whoever the hell they want to take contracts away
from poverty wage, like basically the Waltons, and like, hey, you want a contract, and this is actually like a very popular policy. I think there's a poll down there, but so it's basically like, hey, if your workers are starving and they like can't afford housing, we're not gonna, like ExxonMobil, like we give them like $1 billion every year, or no, what was it, $300 million a year, and it was like just for research and development, which is it's fake. Like what research and development they do? It's a handout because ExxonMobil, big oil company, they lobby the government, and the government scratches their back, and then they also fill in people of these industries to lead the government on, like, let's say the EPA, which is exactly what is happening, and then they write these policies to help their parent company where they come from to do all like more government money. So like we're having a mass exodus of our wealth being given to just corrupt, greedy politicians' buddies and all this. So all of that is saying is that, if you can't take care of your workers, the government's not going to just give the boss all this money, for no reason at all. Cause like, you got to come in with it with a big hammer, I'd say, because people are like exploiting the system. The system's it's not working for people like you or me. It's being worked on by people that have so much wealth that they could never spend it in their life. Like if you were making like $10,000 a day from the time of Jesus to today, you wouldn't have half of Elon Musk's wealth.
Well, if you put 10% of it in a 401k,
put it in stocks.
Tell me how this is connecting with the average Hoosier voters, because Democrats have been playing from behind for a long period of time. Demographics of the state, the way the maps are drawn, there's a lot of things that have been
particularly in our area of the state.
When I was growing up, before the Republican Revolution in '94, Democrats held this area. Muncie, Newcastle. This was Democrat territory.
Yeah.
Phil Sharp was a congressman for a long time. Served as a Democrat member of the House. David McIntosh won, and we've had a Republican in Congress sitting in this seat for the last 31 years. How does the kitchen table issue relate to the average 55-year-old guy that maybe he worked at Chrysler for a while, and then Chrysler left town, and here we are, right?
Yeah, so like all these policies is exactly what it's representing working class America. And I feel like the reason why Democrats have got their ass kicked so thoroughly these last 21 years, because Indiana has been led by a Republican supermajority for that time, is because people don't see themselves in the Democratic Party. They it's sanitized policy, it's weak. When you're trying to walk between this fine line of appeasing the large corporate donors that buy out these people's campaigns, but also trying to give you crumbs here and there. People see through the bullshit. And when you got
if that's the case, why do they see themselves as Republicans?
The thing is, so many people do. Most people don't see themselves in any. That the honest truth is, people don't see themselves in any party. But so a lot of people, just be honest, they vote on vibes. What Trump did is he said, "You are hurting. I know. I feel. I see and hear your pain." But then he turned around, and he said, "You are hurting because of the trans people, because of the immigrants, because of the, fill in X marginalized community. This is the person that is hurting you." And you have all these quote unquote dangerous minority groups, right? What the Democrat
dogs and the pets.
They're eating the
in
dogs.
Springfield, Ohio.
So what the Democrats have done, and we don't have for the longest time they didn't have a good counter narrative. They just say Republican bad, vote against them, but you don't have to vote for me.
You find yourself debating over bathrooms instead of debating over why the hell people can't eat.
Right. What the Democrats need to do is say, Trump is right. You are hurting, and this is why I believe Kamala lost. She didn't go out there and said, she bragged about we have a record-breaking economy. Wrong message. You should be you are hurting. We got a lot more work to do. I hear you. And Trump is right on one thing. There is a dangerous minority in this country, but it isn't the one that he's telling you about. It's the top 1%. It's the billionaire oligarchs that are sending our jobs overseas. They bribe our politicians. They break down our unions. These people have hoarded wealth like fucking dragons. When they're making 200 times more than the average employee, this system is not a meritocracy where the harder you work, the more you get. This system is made deliberately. The system's not broken. It's working exactly as intended. And it's intended to benefit the ones at the very top of the economic ladder, not for the bottom 99%, not for the people of this country. It's made for the people that buy out our democracy.
Jackson, I love the speech. It was 8:23 and it was not Bones.
So, as a house rule, we don't say the F word until after 8 p.m. You're in the clear.
I was not. Oh, so
you're in the clear.
You're good.
You're good.
Guys,
you win.
You
we
did
are
fine.
so back.
You did fine.
And it wasn't Bones.
There have been times where we haven't got through the introduction to the show and Bones has said fuck. So we are doing great. Another piece that you had on here, and we'll get out of the policy stuff here in a second, but I think it's important. You talked about breaking up monopolies, and the federal government, the SEC, is supposed to be there saying, hey, these two companies can merge. They can't merge. There was a huge controversy over U.S. Steel potentially getting purchased by Nippon, which happened. Federal government said okay to it. We see a bunch of media companies that are trying to merge together right now.
Paramount,
CBS getting Paramount's merger. Indianapolis, we've got 5 TV stations, and they're going to have potentially 2 owners of them.
Yeah.
Tell me about the role you think that Congress should have and the federal government should have in oversight of corporate mergers and maybe splitting some companies up.
Right.
So, and I'll expand that one more. Not just the control of the monopoly, but the controlling of the message. Like, he hit a lot on media, and that's where we see a lot of the public monopolies. So it really controls the narrative going back to that dinner table every single night. So there's your cue.
Exactly. Yeah. So media is a big thing, and like you see these clips, went viral like right before the election, where you see like hundreds of these like news anchors all saying the exact message because it's all handed down to them from higher. And
they all
really
got
creepy.
it from Chicago at Sinclair, right?
Right. So basically,
Scripts.
we need more like independent media, and like Teddy Roosevelt, famous for being like all over the political spectrum, but he saw the trouble of it's not capitalism when like 4 companies own everything. There's no competition there, and like all these companies owning each other, and it's just a circle of money where like I hand you $20, you hand him $20. Like it's like that circle. We need to break them up to have more independent, structured things so we can get competition back on the marketplace. And so and also in that mix of having workers having a larger say in the workplace is going to make our economy thrive. And also make it to where you don't have these creepy news hosts that say it's all the same message from everywhere. So it's like, we need to have a people's media, and we need to break up the monopolies. When Nestle, they own like all the most of the candy you eat is all coming from like 2 companies. They have an outsized influence on our food market, and you mentioned media, you mentioned like so many other industries. And it's like all these places own each other, and it's scary, and it's not competition. Oil, the big oil companies, they all like own each other, and there's like it's getting thinned down to like 4 or 5 nowadays, and they just like price match. And instead of like capitalism is supposed to work like, I have a way to fund oil at a lower price, so you will come to me. They all have an agreement where like I'm gonna go up to like 20 cents this week. Everyone match me, so you don't if anyone raises their price, they all just agree, and it's like it's backwards. Like,
Jackson, you're telling our age. The gas prices used to go up once a week. Now they go up or down every other day. It used to be every Thursday the gas price would go up right before payday.
Mm-hmm. I'm surprised you know how much gas even costs. I think you just swipe the card.
I'm surprised even.
I worked at a gas station. Come on.
Allow the driver to pull in there while you're in the car.
It's always the next one.
Who said I do?
It's always full when he gets in. His people take care of it. It's fine.
He's got a Rolls-Royce Spectre. It's electric.
It's a Tesla.
All right. I have some trust issues with the government at times on account of how everything they do turns to shit. Looking at your website, you say you want elder care and universal assisted living entrusted to the government. How is that going to go well for grandma?
So right now people are too poor to take care of grandma. When people can't afford to take care of grandma goes unattended to. So like people are scared of like the debt. People are scared of, being able to like scrape by for food. I mean, not everybody has, healthy family environments where like, come live with us, grandma, grandpa, mom, dad, like not everyone has that like kind of cohesive family unit. Actually, I would say most people probably don't.
Right.
So,
right now you have to get government care of your elders. They basically have to have exhausted all of their assets completely. And then they go into a Medicaid nursing home.
Right.
So, and get a poor quality of care.
Yeah. And, as a paramedic, I've been to a lot of, you might imagine, a lot of nursing homes where we go in, take them out, bring them back. Those places are terrible. When you have one, and it's as well as like a jobs programs of like taking care of our elderly people and like funding, subsidizing these people instead of ExxonMobil, we should, subsidize these, pivotal and crucial, facilities and centers to where like, yeah, we need to give them more money. They're underfunded. When you have one nurse taking care of a whole hallway of like 100 people, elderly people that need their needs met, and like they probably don't have family that sees them every day. They probably don't have family that sees them like even like once a month. If you're lucky, they'll come by like once a week, and but they got bingo every Thursday night or whatever. We need to have more workers in these fields, and we also need to make sure we're just taking care. Like these places are ran down, and many of them they're under like, and the rules, like the what is it, the laws, like they're like barely meeting standard. I mean, some places often aren't, and like they're not everyone is fortunate to live in like Carmel or Indy, where you have like these big bustling centers. Some of us live in the middle of nowhere, and it's a long drive, and we just got to take care of the elderly people.
Bones asked the question.
I'm not going to. I've been a good boy tonight, and we're going to keep it that way.
How are they? Truly, how are you taxed? Like, what do you have a tax rate you want? I know you said you want to change capital gains. How's the pay for it?
How do you pay for it?
Yeah,
the message is great. How do you pay for it in our current system?
Yeah, good question. Amazing question. On most of on like a lot of these, it's the question is actually wrong. It's flipped. How can we afford not to do these? These are often like Medicare for all is literally cheaper. We pay the most out of any modern developed country in the world. So like, and it's more people are covered. You get more for less. Now you have a corporate
but you just said it earlier. You said Elon Musk earns more than 52% of the rest of America.
Mm-hmm. Tax him.
That controls it. That has influence.
Mm-hmm.
If you take Elon Musk off, you go to the Jeff Bezos of the world. You go to the Walton family,
the Forrest Planks of the world.
It's gonna be a while till we get him on the list.
It's way down there before you get to me, Bones. But seriously,
Larry Ellison, all of those rich 40 guys.
They
right?
control that influence. How do you break that influence to where they say, that 1% or that 1.5% or even that 0.5% of my take, it hurts. I will give you that 0.5% or I will give you that 1% if you keep the policy this way. How do you change that mindset?
Right. So by having a people-led movement, like democracy is supposed to work for most of the people, right? So that's the kind of government we need to make. And, a lot of times, the people, there's a huge disconnect between what us working people, what we want, and that top 1% wants, hence all these problems that we've laid out. If it digs into their profits, a lot of these people, like there's plenty of amazing millionaires, genuinely good people that do a lot for the communities. But, when you get up to that wealth of like such like Elon Musk, all he cares is he wants to see the number go up, graph go up. That's all they care about, or he has his team that focuses on how he can lobby and influence our politicians to do that. So that's why it's so important to elect Congress people and elect politicians down ballot that are grassroots, not beholden to these large corporate interest or special interest groups, to make sure that we have a system that represents all of us. That's why my campaign slogan is people over profits. Not to like profits will go up under this, I promise, but it's also like making sure that their profits, their like large amount of greed for the system, their greed's hurting all of us right now. You don't get, we right now, the wealth disparity, the wage gap is larger in any point in American history than it is right now. And also the wealth disparity is larger in America than it was in pre-revolutionary France, except we have amenities like the cell phone and indoor plumbing and all these things, right? So, we need to make a system that represents all of its people and not just the top 1%. But to have your question, like, how do we get those policies to where we can actually, because we're not saying,
are you pro guillotine then? Is that what I'm hearing?
No, I'm not pro guillotine.
That'd be awesome.
No one gets eat
Bones.
Yeah, I do say a line actually.
French Revolution references. I wasn't sure where we came down on that.
I do say a line. I'm like, because they're making the big ball. There's no King's Day recently, obviously, and then the large wealth gap. People's needs are not getting met. People are like struggling, like with the food stamps being cut and all that. So I'm like, hey, we say no kings, but you're getting awarded a crown, literally a golden crown from the Prime Minister of Japan last week. And, you're making a ballroom, a $400 million ballroom, and you're surrounding yourself with all these billionaires. It's only going to be a matter of time for the people whose food stamps you cut and the healthcare you cut. If you want to live like pre-revolutionary France, it's only a matter of time till the people whose SNAP program and healthcare you cut start, sharpening their guillotines. The people can only take so much.
There's another revolution coming.
Yeah, you have to give the people an exhaust vent. If you build up all this pressure and you go tell them to kick rocks, we're gonna do more tax cuts for my billionaire buddies, all the while we pay for it. That's nonsense. People need a meaningful change to help benefit. They need to feel like the government's working for them and not everyone outside of the bottom 99%.
That's why we have concerts and football games, man. You go yell and scream and go to the mosh pit. You get it out of your way, and then you go back to work on Monday.
Rage out, and then you go back.
So I think there's definitely the frustration that you're talking about, that you're embodying in the electorate. And I also think that it's a very unique time for Indiana, where the Democrat Party probably has the best wind at its sails going into 2026. Bobai is going to be at the top of the ticket, probably third generation Indiana power family, young Democrat who's got a military background very similar to your own. Just his dad and grandpa were governors and senators, right? But I think there's a very real possibility that things line up where this is a year where you actually can achieve this.
Yeah. These things are possible if we can work hard enough, and there are a lot of if you look to face value, Bo and I, on a rap sheet, we look like, hey, military background, young person running for political office. I'm not a millionaire. My dad, I come from nothing, but there are we fall on different ideological lines. I would say
no donations from John Mellencamp yet.
Yeah, no, I don't have any billionaire donors. No Duke Energy money. Supporting data centers in the state. But I'm a grassroots campaign, and I would work with him if he has a primary opponent, Blythe Potter, running for Secretary of State on the Democratic Party. Now that's not something we vote on. That's
the convention.
There's state delegates run. You're gonna get elected on Cinco de Mayo 2026. Make sure you run in to be state delegate, run to be a PC, and then I remember it, D-Day, June 6th is the convention. So and then all those state delegates will come together and they'll vote either for Blythe Potter or Bobai. But I will definitely do what I can to make sure that Diego Morales gets replaced. He has so many no bid contracts for his little buddies and his friends, getting all these relatives in his cabinet, and it's hey, what experience does your half brother have? Next question. No, that was a real question. That was a real question. Can you answer that? And he's I'm not going to sit here and take this. No, this was so yeah, we got to do what we can to flip these seats in 2026.
You're not very good at running for office because you've forgotten to do one thing.
Plug where to find me.
Where do people give money? You're supposed to ask for money when you do this stuff. How do people put gas in the car and pay for materials and billboards and all the other stuff we have to do?
Right. So yeah, you guys, please go to jacksonfranklinforcongress.com. And as I said, probably I'm a broken record. We're a grassroots campaign. No corporate lobbyists, no super PACs, no APAC money influencing us to, interest other countries outside of, Americans. So, please get involved. We're going to flip the 5th District in 2026. Victoria Spartz, she's done a lot of harm to our communities. And me speaking from, the veteran community, she voted against the PACT Act in 2022, which, gave veterans health care that were exposed to toxic burn pits overseas. So a lot of Republicans are pissed off at her too. She voted against gay marriage. She voted against interracial marriage. She voted to cut Medicaid food stamps. She voted for that big, beautiful bill, which was the large tax write-offs to the top 1%. We can change it. We can have influential, meaningful change to actually benefit the working class of this country, not just the billionaire Epstein class, as I like to say. So please go to jacksonfranklinforcongress.com, donate, sign up to volunteer, and see more about our campaign.
So while government is shut down, there's some folks locally that are trying to step in. SNAP is a big deal.
Yep.
In our area, SNAP is delivered by the United States Department of Agriculture. When I used to go to DC and lobby on behalf of Purdue and the College of Agriculture. SNAP was always a big conversation. That's where food stamps are, right? EBT funds. And theoretically, SNAP might be funded for another week or two out of some emergency funds in November, but that's it. There's no expectation that you're going to have full funds and access this month. Had some local restaurants and some local folks that have stepped up that are trying to meet the need, and I thought we'd share that here on the show today. Temptations, I know, has been a great lunch spot here in town. They're home to, I don't know, $7 or $8 lunches for just tons and tons of folks roll through there and real quickly for meals. And Inga Neal down there is putting together some free meals for folks there. Mancino's in town is doing take and bake pizzas essentially. And you show your card and they take care of you.
Yep.
And then Brenda Greider, who was the clerk treasurer here in town, she's also been raising some money and has been finding ways to get that directly into the hands of folks that need it. And I think the Henry County Community Foundation as well is doing some stuff and donate to them.
I think what's really cool is you take that small town feel that we feel here in East Central Indiana and Henry County, and you take that all across the country, and you see that if you travel around everywhere you go, these small communities, the local, and really the local economy is what's driving this on behalf of the government, on behalf of that 1% that we're talking about. And every day there is a hunger disparity in this country, and people are feeling it right now. And if it weren't for these small local businesses, people would be going without food.
Yeah, there's a lot. We're in the Elks Lodge, right? There's a mini food pantry on the front step of the Elks that we try to make sure is full. A lot of folks that are stepping in and saying you're not going to go hungry on our watch because of this, because folks are not doing their job in DC. Like it, don't like it, whatever. You got to play within the rules of what the system is today, and there's folks that need help.
Yep,
it's important. Mr. Bones, you've been awful quiet on me. You want to talk about some sports?
Yeah.
Sauce it up for us.
The Colts were not quiet at the trade deadline.
They were not.
They sold the farm.
They made splash. They made a big splash.
So the New York Jets were selling anything that wasn't bolted down.
I was going to say that anything and everything was up for sale in New York. That place is a dumpster fire.
Sauce Gardner is he was like the fifth overall pick by the Jets 4 years ago.
He's number 4.
Yeah.
Number 4, yeah.
Played at Cincinnati. 4 years in the league. He's been an All-Pro twice. And the Colts traded away their first-round pick next year.
The first-round pick the next year.
And
A.D. Mitchell.
And A.D. Mitchell, who you could have had for 3 ham sandwiches and a worthless EBT card.
Yeah. No offense to anybody.
Also known as Snap.
He's the guy that fumbled in the Rams. Everybody blames him for the Rams loss.
Yeah. But we gave up a lot. But I think we did well.
Is the juice worth a squeeze there?
I think this juice is going to be worth the squeeze. Because not only did we give up the 2 number 1 picks in A.D. Mitchell, we also inherited a $30 million contract and a pretty big cap hit.
He is the real deal.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think this is a shot that says we're in it to win a Super Bowl
this year.
Yeah, not 2 years from now, not 3 years from now. Right now.
The terror. It's amazing if he's healthy.
Yes.
Right. If something happens and the guy tears up a knee in November or December, this is not good.
Well,
that's the risk.
That is Indianapolis football
Yeah.
in a nutshell.
No luck. That's the fear that I have, is that you've just given away a lot of the future opportunity for that.
But you just sold the farm and you hope the sow's good.
But I don't think we have sold the farm, because I think we looked around and think we are solid at everywhere else.
And this makes the rest of the defense better.
And this is where the only spot where we were lacking. It was
not really that the team was lacking anywhere.
I mean, we were lacking in pass defense. That was the only spot where this team was lacking. And I think we went out and we made that probably 3 times better now. I'm a fan.
Bones thinks that we're going to win the next 2 Super Bowls, so it's the 32nd pick the next 2 years in a row. Not a big deal. You're
Not
fine.
a big deal.
You're good with it.
Yeah.
Not your
So
money.
the first showing is going to be in Berlin. What does it really matter at 9 a.m. on a Sunday morning?
Well, it matters.
Aside from the win-loss record.
Every game matters. I mean, it helps that we're playing against Atlanta, who I don't know could score. So that kind of helps situation. But this helps us tremendously. We're the best team in football.
You're optimistic. There's no guarantee a first round pick is going to turn into a star.
No.
Where you
No.
get an absolute stud right now. You're excited.
I mean, you
You're
look
good.
everywhere on that football team, and we're solid.
How many first-round picks have the Colts had that have busted?
A handful. They've traded some away as well.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it. It's not my money.
I like the trade.
Zachary, you're notably a.
You are so indifferent over there.
I don't have 4 hours of my life to give to them for anything. I just got better things to do.
I applaud you for that because
rather-
this takes up way too much of my
Yeah.
energy.
You know what makes it obvious as to how much time it wastes? Go to a game. And then you realize that it's whatever it is. It's like 4 minutes and 52 seconds of action over the course of 4 hours.
It's
Like,
a 3-hour game, sir.
Yeah.
Starts at 1, done at 4:15.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if you
On the clock.
They have a hard out.
Yeah, but when you're watching the game, you realize it's like, okay, they played for 2 seconds, and now we're going to stop for 45 seconds. It's like, and it's just, I just don't have that kind of time.
Spoken like a runner.
That and nasty. Yeah, I'd rather go for
Give
a
me my
run.
35 minutes and I'm done.
I just think it's a shame that the top 1% of football players make up more of the Colts' money than the bottom 52%. That's ridiculous.
There goes the blue talk.
Yeah. That practice squad ought to be
Right
making
back
a
to
living
politics.
wage.
I did see a thing about one of its priorities for, I guess it was the state. It was like somebody was investing in some upgrades and maintenance for Lucas Oil Stadium, and I was like, why are the Colts not paying for that? It's their building, and they make
It's
all the
not their
money.
building. They just get to use it for free and get the revenue.
And everybody has to pay to use it.
Mr. Bones, are you a YouTube TV household?
I am.
Which, by the way, I woke up Sunday morning to a text from you about Syracuse football
Yeah.
losing to your North
Yeah.
Carolina Diamondbacks.
Yeah. Eat shit. We finally won in October, asshole.
I was landed on pretty thick last month. Was that game on ESPN?
I don't.
Or do you even try to watch them anymore? You've given up
try
hope.
to walk.
If it was on ESPN, could you have watched it?
No. It's I don't get it. Why are we having
Google and Disney are fighting, and Jackson's going to try to break these companies up so that we don't have carriage
Yeah.
disputes all the time.
Because
that's
it's
trying to
the
happen.
new direct TV Dish Network battles.
Mhm. It's
Same
we signed
industry,
all
same
these
battles.
contracts at the same time, same time every year. Like why is it?
They always set it up so that it's at the most painful point, just like
Yeah.
shutting the government down. They're setting it up so that there's a dispute during football time, so that they can't not have their deal.
Yeah.
But Google says, "The hell with you, Disney. We don't need you." So people like you have to suffer. It didn't matter in my house.
It's called a leverage.
It didn't matter in my house
really
until Dancing with the Stars aired.
shit.
And
then all hell broke loose.
And then it was, well, we have to go outside and see if we can get the rabbit ears to work in the camper.
I was going to say, you can get the antenna to do it.
Yeah,
full
we got
ABC.
PBS out of Muncie is all we could do with ours. And then it was I think she watched it on a TikTok live stream is how she got to watch the Dancing with the Stars. So they've now gone through a college football Saturday, Monday Night Football, and Dancing with the Stars has been missed. If those didn't do it, this is the long haul too.
The world has not ended.
I don't know what's coming back, government or ESPN on YouTube TV. One of those
ABC
two.
Disney.
ABC Disney, whatever. You think that's coming back before government does?
No, not a chance. Too many lobbyists.
I bet most people have backup streaming services and don't notice.
ESPN is this is why it's a big deal. Is that ESPN is the big ticket item.
They're the most expensive.
They're like $20 a month.
Yeah, they're the
to
most
stream.
expensive carrier, whatever they call it, carrier fee. On
Some of the others are
cable.
pennies on the dollar, and this one is
Yeah,
is a big one.
Yeah, well,
To the point where I think everybody that's a customer is going to get a $20 credit.
yeah, if you have extends too long YouTube TV, so they'll give you $20, which I bet is about, especially if you throw the other ones on there. But ESPN is the most expensive. Like people don't. there is a certain channels have a set amount of, if you broke your bill down, they could tell you this is how much you're paying for these channels, and ESPN is the biggest one by far, by a lot. But yeah, I think there's just so many different ways to watch stuff. Like I was going to say, I bet I could have watched it because I have the Disney Plus bundle, so I have the ESPN and Hulu, and I bet I could
That
watch
might work. I don't know. I don't have that. I bet our household has 75 different streaming options.
Yeah,
but we
I
don't
bet I
have
could have
that one.
watched. I didn't care. I didn't try, but I bet a lot of people can find a way.
Does your household need ESPN?
No, but it's just I get the bundle through my cell phone plan. So yeah, I don't know. I never use it. I have ESPN Plus and I have Hulu, and I never use either one of them. Hulu annoyingly has commercials, and I just hate it. And then some of that stuff gets funneled now through the Disney Plus app. So you pull up the Disney Plus app, and it'll pull up stuff from ESPN Plus and on Hulu through Disney Plus. So I don't know. I didn't even try, but I bet I could have.
Will you survive this weekend, Mr. Bones?
I'll survive.
You're going to be out and about anyway. You're
Yep.
going to be out.
We'll be down Louisville.
You're going to be bourboning.
Yep, Dad's birthday, so we'll do all that fun stuff.
You've had 9 different beverages, and it finally interrupted you,
Yeah.
Forrest.
You
had
sit
to,
down back there. Is that what I heard?
your
I haven't
final
had
thoughts.
9.
I don't acknowledge him. Your final thoughts. Anything you want to plug?
Man, nothing to plug, but Jackson, thanks for coming out. I love the energy. I love the passion. It's not common to see someone of your age with the passion to drive change, and I applaud that. You're representing a minority within the state, definitely a minority within the district, and you're still coming out with the same energy and the same passion. So hats off to you. Kudos to you.
Thank you.
If people are just listening, Jackson Franklin, check him out. Donate to the cause if you support it.
If you're watching the video, his website's pinned in the chat.
Yes. So if nothing else, give him a shot. And everyone loves to shit on the younger generation because they're not willing to go out and work for it. This guy, he's come out and he's talked more than most people who have sat in a non-hosting chair on the show that I've been a part of. So kudos to you. Well done. Best of luck to you, man.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Final thoughts, Zach?
Man, I don't think I have much. The daylight savings time sucks. I hate it.
It does.
It's horrible.
Absolutely.
Jackson promised to fix that when he goes to Washington. First thing.
Apparently, I'm much older than him. Apparently, I grew up with this time. I just don't recall it. I think it's just the sudden change is what is killing me. I don't recall it being like this when I was a kid. But yeah, I don't think I have. But you see the list of the people that have been helping out with the SNAP things. I know some people have raised some money and gone to and kind of built up grab bags for people to take. So that's been impressive to see people kind of to come together. And I haven't seen. There's a lot of ugliness, and it's a lot of. And he's right about one thing is that there's a thing now where we want to label everybody, and we don't want to label them not in a good way, but in a bad way. So it's like a lazy way of dealing with people is to just I'll just give them this label and write them off. And I've seen it's been really nice to see people not jump on these people should be working, or these people like a lot of SNAP recipients are working, and a lot of them are doing their best. And so this isn't a go after them thing. It's a let's support them again through this time. I'm going to say the same thing for federal employees. I've got some friends that are federal employees, and they are now on their 5th week of work, and they are not getting paid. They've been paid since whatever, late September. And a lot of them are dealing with they're not fully staffed either because they haven't really hired many people in a while. So yeah, think about that. If you're dealing with anybody, you never know. There's a lot of people dealing with a lot of situations right now. So just continue to be nice. There are a lot of people in Newcastle are being nice, and it's nice to see.
I was on airport duty tonight. Brian Nichols, our suite mate, he was traveling for work on a Southwest flight from Phoenix
that's
back
about to get
Indianapolis.
worse.
And he texted me today, and he's like, "Hey, my flight was supposed to land at 7, but now it looks like it's coming in at 10. So can you come get me so my wife and kid can stay home and sleep?" And I said, "Sure, buddy, we'll get you." And then magically it self-healed and it was back to on time. So I think he's on the ground in Indianapolis already and would be back home.
So honest story, Sunday morning, Wife and I had a 7:45 a.m. flight out. Our daughter had a 7:46 a.m. flight out. 7:45 a.m. flight, left on time. 7:46 a.m. flight, left at 1:30-ish p.m. Mountain time, going to Eastern
Doesn't
time
help.
zone. So we were at our house in Indiana before our daughter ever left Denver, Colorado on our way to New York. So it's real. It sucks. Anyone that has to travel anywhere, whether it's for pleasure or for work out of necessity, it sucks right now. And I pity them.
There's a lot of people in Washington that aren't feeling the pain. Talk about workers stepping up. If the TSA agents all said they're not coming to work tomorrow, and
it'd be a
air
bad
traffic
day.
controllers said they're not coming to work tomorrow, this would be fixed by Sunday morning. Yeah, just straight up.
I think that's probably two positions. It's hard for. I know there's been an air traffic control shortage, and I can't imagine. I don't know how they keep TSA because that's one of the most thankless jobs in the country.
That's got to be a revolving door.
It has to be.
I can tell you, 6 a.m. at Denver on Sunday, it was not a pretty place. I couldn't imagine.
Even with pre-check?
Is that because you looked in the mirror?
That was all of the TSA gates.
Even at the private jet gate?
I could not imagine places like
I thought private jet, you don't
like
fly
Newark
through TSA.
or Atlanta,
like
or,
Houston, like Atlanta. Bones, I'm ignoring you.
Not really. You just answered me.
Jackson, thank you for being here, man. Anything we left out at topics? I know we kind of we picked pieces of the platform, and I think we got the high points, but there may be a couple of things that you wanted to get into that we didn't.
There's a lot. We're very policy driven, but if you want to see more, go to jacksonfranklinforcongress.com.
His website's very extensive, and it's for every point on his platform. There's like a expand menu.
If you go to that platform section, all you have to do is hit the expand button, and
then
you keep rolling through
There's a drop down menu. So there's all the policies, which we're like ever adding more. And like I'm the one who actually made that website. Like how many policies? Like I did not know how to make a website. I was like, the people need to know right now. So I just went ahead. I had someone else dress it up a little prettier.
Whose golden retriever did you borrow for the picture, by the way?
That is my golden retriever, Levi. Had him having for the 3 years. That's my son. All right, that's my baby right there.
So Levi's 3 years old.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's a lot of more policies, like paid family leave, paid sick leave. I think if you have a child, whether born or adopted, you should be able to take time to take care of that child.
Take the kid to work with you. It makes $25 an hour. You make $25 an hour. Everybody wins.
Double your money.
Yeah. So there's just so many policies. I can talk all day if you guys let me. But just please go to the website and help out.
And again, where do you donate?
Donate, Jackson Franklin for Congress. There's a donate button right there, and it sends you to our Act Blue page. So we much appreciate it. Goes further with us than other campaigns, because, well, it's a very important race. It's the most flippable, some people even say it's the only swing district in the entire state. We're a grassroots campaign, unlike other candidates on both parties, I might say. We're not going to be able to call up a big corporate lobbyist and have $1 million overnight. So it's a people-led movement. It's going to take people like you to help and get involved to have all these awesome policies that we're promoting.
Mr. Bones, anything else?
I'm good.
All right. We will be back next week with Liberty Defender Sean Rao. He'll be making his triumphant return to the show. Jackson, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much.
Mixed audience tonight. You got conservatives, you got libertarians, you got Democrats in the room. But I think there's, at the core, everybody's trying to get to the same place. It's just, how do we do it? And really, really appreciative of you being here and speaking your piece, and wishing you nothing but the best going into the next election. And we got enough time. You may get a return visit in here too.
Yeah.
Hopefully it works out. Especially if we find ourselves in the 5th district next year.
Yeah, might just say so.
We'll see everybody next Thursday.
Take care, everyone.